right, this is meal 3. So carbs are going up.
And this is Thursday night.
Thursday night, so 2 days out.
2 days out.
Carbs were on the lower end, so we had 3 days of depletion because I just competed last Saturday.
Yeah. So you had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of depletion?
Yep, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday we depleted, which means we brought the carbs down to about 100 carb, 35, 40 fat. And cardio, we had 60 in the morning, 60 minutes at night walking.
Fun.
So much fun.
Sounds like so
It was honestly, I have to thank Paul because he helped me push through that.
Yeah.
Having a buddy definitely helps. And then I made it through that. That third day though.
That you felt like shit.
I was like, Paul was like, yeah. I was like. So when we started walking food up, we did it our first bump was 140 carb. And then we have our second bump, which is 180 carb.
Okay. That was today?
Yep.
180 carbs today?
Yep. So the first few days, my last meal a day didn't have carbs because I just didn't need them. I try to center my food around activity and training.
Yeah.
So most of those carbs that went straight to breakfast, pre-workout, post-workout. And then my last meal, I'm going to bed. So it's like, what do you need that for?
So what is this? Just chicken?
Meal 3, just chicken and rice, and then some salsa I'm gonna put on top because like flavors. And then I have a rice cake and big spread planned for dessert after my 4th meals. I really honestly just try to make food that's gonna be spread out and enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because when you're not eating a lot, it gets sad.
Yeah. Meal 3, right?
Meal 3, yeah.
How many meals do you have a day?
I like to do 4. I've tried 5, and I think just like with my hunger cues, like I just don't get hungry that quickly. I like my window where I wake up pretty early actually, like 5:30. But I usually don't have my first meal till around 7:30. And then usually around like that 3-hour mark is where I'm like, okay, I need something. So I usually eat in increments of about 3 hours until my last meal of the day, which is usually around 6 or 7. I really try to keep everything the same because it keeps digestion consistent. You know, I wake up the same time every day. I go to the restroom, which, you know, in prep, that's important. I really don't like to change much of my eating schedule. My foods stay pretty much the exact same. Usually around 3 weeks out, I try to really dial in and keep consistent the foods that I know are going to digest well, digest easy, and give me the energy I need for what I need to do, which is usually training, work, cardio. I will say my top protein sources are eggs, egg whites, chicken, and shrimp. But I like a combination of dark and white meat because the white meat tends to be a little too lean for me. I don't digest it as easily. I find that if I get a good mix, actually, a little higher fat, I have an easier time digesting it, and it tastes better. So, and then Core Pro, I for a while was using Core Nutritionals protein in my oats when I was eating oats, but oats aren't always the most easily digestible carbohydrate.
For you specifically.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive to fiber. So even my veggie sources, like I tried to do fiber from fruits mostly, which are one of my favorite carb sources when we can move on to carbs. I do fruit, rice cakes, even some cereals I try to stay away from because again, sometimes they get a little finicky with the digestion. And fruit spread, I love. So, and then nut butters, nuts, like fattier meats. Sometimes I'll do like a steak, sirloin or filet because my digestion's got an expensive taste just like I do. And it tastes good. It's like a nice treat sometimes. Every once in a while I'll do it. The closer we get to a show, or just when we hit sticking points, you know, I really try to limit the amount of times I'm eating out of the house. But I do like that I can be flexible. If I'm caught in a bind where just the schedule, something gets messed up and things don't go exactly according to plan, I can just go, I know I have options. I'm not like, oh no, I can't eat now, you know, which is nice, but I try to limit my flexibility for sure. I like to feel like I can balance things pretty well in that aspect. Obviously just learning through tracking macros, because that's primarily how I do things. I have a meal plan, but it's based off of a menu that I've created for myself. And I will say, and I tell this to my clients sometimes that struggle, copying and pasting meals in your app for the next, like from one day to the next, especially if you had a really good day and you notice energy was good. Yeah. And then you even see maybe even progress with the scale, you drop, you look tighter the next day. I'm like, okay, copy and paste that exact same day. If we change the carbs, if we up carbs, down carbs, then I go, okay, if we bump the carbs up, I just have more rice with this meal, or I have an extra rice cake, or an extra cup of fruit. It makes it easy because you don't have to think. You don't have to think about what you're gonna eat. The decision fatigue is a thing. And I don't like to be, you know, stressed out about, oh, how am I gonna fit this in? What foods are gonna work for today? I don't wanna worry about that. I always travel with Pro. The chocolate is my favorite because it makes really good like chocolate shakes, or like protein hot chocolate is like one of my favorite go-tos in prep because I have a sweet tooth. It's so easy. So I do half almond milk, half water. So it's like about 10 ounces of almond milk, 10 ounces of water, unsweetened because less calories. And then I'll heat it up in the microwave, and then I'll dump the Core Pro in it, shake it up, but just be careful when you shake it because it's hot. Oh, it'll pop the lid. Yeah, I've done that before. And then I like to sweeten the taste, so I use stevia and actually a pinch of salt. I do protein pancakes, so like on a higher carb day, I'll do more actually Aunt Jemima's pancake, like the original pancake mix. It's really not that many. It's pretty macro friendly. It adds volumes because if you've made protein pancakes with just protein and egg whites, you know those motherfuckers go flat. Those things go flat so fast. So it adds nice volume, and the flavor of the Blueberry Muffin Pro is unmatched. Like that and the chocolate are my top two. I always keep them in my cabinet because they're just tasty. I love non-stim pre-workouts, so I'll do pump, watermelon, lemonade, I think is the one that I go through. Yeah, the most, and then sangria is delicious also. And my pre-workout supplements, Bolic and Alpha and 5AT, I always take before. I just notice my endurance is better. I can train a little bit harder than I feel like I can push a little bit harder, and I usually I think I notice it the most when I don't take it. Like in my off season, I get lazy sometimes and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like, oh yeah. So those stay. Core Hard, I've been enjoying taking them all three at nighttime lately. I think it does, like tremendously. I always find I get a deeper sleep and I wake up feeling a little bit more refreshed. And the recovery aspect of it too, I think it really helps. And then especially in peak week, it's a game changer. So those I never go without. Burn is delicious. So it's a great appetite suppressant because that's part of why it works so well. And obviously you get the stimulants, so you get a burst of energy. I feel like I can do more throughout the day. I usually take it like before work, or maybe I'll sip on some during work, just to kind of keep me, especially if I'm really hungry that day and it's just like client after client. Or sometimes I'll actually take it as a pre-workout, so I'll take it a little bit before I take pump, and then I'll sip on pump in the car before I head into the gym. If I'm really hurting and I have cardio at night, I'll take a scoop at nighttime. Sear, I'll stack it with Burn actually, which I love. I honestly notice it because I get so hot and sweaty. I'm like, okay. When you get to a point in prep where it's hard to get your heart rate up and it's hard to get warm, I notice it kind of helps get more out of my cardio that way. supplement wise, I really don't cut out a lot. Poise, I like to keep in. I left her home because I try to prioritize the ones that I know are going to be the most helpful for peak week specifically, and I just didn't really need it this time around. Load is obviously probably one of the supplements I make sure I keep around because all the time, because especially when we're carbing up, I just want to make sure those carbohydrates go to the right place. And yeah, she's just old reliable.